Mercedes managed to finish on the podium in the first race of the Formula One season, but the team is struggling more than ever before since the hybrid engine era started in 2014. Prior to Red Bull's late implosion, the world champion team was on track to finish a far-off 5th and 6th on the road after a humiliating loss to Ferrari to open the 2022 season. Mercedes wasn't even close to winning in Bahrain in terms of pace, and it does not anticipate an immediate improvement in its situation. When did Mercedes' problems begin? Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Here we are up with another interesting topic. Stay tuned till the end. And before moving on to the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification. The world champion simulator driver Anthony, however, observes, "I could see on track in Bahrain that I didn't quite look like the car that I knew in the simulator. That was already raising some red flags for me." Why is that then? The FIA intervened to stop the purpose, which is what Mercedes requested. As a result, the drivers will now need to adjust their driving styles. Don't worry, we'll get to why Mercedes managed to absolutely screw themselves over when we examine the reasons why the FIA intervened and what they did. It was evident that porpoising had gotten out of hand following the 8th round of the 2022 season in Azerbaijan. The street circuit's uneven surface, combined with one of the straightaways with the fastest speeds on the schedule, caused the cars to bounce more than usual. Lewis Hamilton nearly lost control of his Mercedes several times at speeds of more than 300 kph. He also lost feeling in his lower back and bottom toward the end of the race, and every driver who was interviewed after the race said that it was utterly unsustainable. Fortunately for the drivers, the FA acted swiftly and decisively to ensure their safety throughout the season. In order to understand what this means for the teams, drivers, and potential changes to the season standings, let's first look at what the FIA has to say. Spoiler alert for you, Toto Wolff will regret having called for regulatory adjustments regarding the steps the FIA intends to take to address the issue, which includes a closer examination of the planks and skids in terms of both their design and the wear that has been noticed. 2. The definition of a metric based on the vehicle's vertical acceleration that will provide a numerical limit on the amount of acceptable vertical oscillations. The Formula One teams have been invited to participate in this process, while the FIA continues to investigate the precise mathematical formula for this metric. The planks and skids that are mentioned in the sentence are the parts of the subfloor that protrude the farthest, or the parts that contact the ground. Part 2 will use the accelerometers that are already present in all Formula One cars, as well as the driver's helmets, which means that the FIA has data on vertical acceleration. Using this data, they can determine how much an F1 car is bouncing, as stated in the statement. However, we'll show you some of the data later in this video to identify which drivers are the worst offenders. In addition to these short-term actions, the statement says, the FIA will call a technical conference with the teams to define measures that'll lessen the likelihood that automobiles may display these phenomena in the medium term. Following consultation with its doctors, such phenomena will be addressed in the medium term for the driver's safety. The FIA is concerned about the immediate physical impact on the health of the drivers, many of whom reported back pain in a sport where competitors are routinely driving at speeds above 300 kph. Furthermore, it is believed that all of the driver's concentration needs to be focused on that task, and that excessive fatigue or pain experienced by a driver could have serious consequences should it lead to a loss of concentration. This statement is the correct reaction from the FA, and it's what we and many of you in our comment sections have been advocating for driver safety. The decision by the FIA to not change the regulations but instead impose new rules that force the teams to reduce their own porpoise means that teams like McLaren, who've taken steps to protect their drivers' safety, won't be punished, but those who have chosen not to protect their drivers will be. Norris stated after Baku that his car has very little bouncing because McLaren raised the car's ride height to avoid it. Let's look at how this technical directive will be executed before discussing how Mercedes truly shot themselves in the foot. The level of bouncing in FP1 and FP2 will be examined by the FIA on Friday of the race weekend. Teams will have access to this data and will be required to lower their bouncing for FP3 to a minimum of 10 mm if they cannot demonstrate that they have fixed the issue. They will be disqualified from the race if that still doesn't fix the issue, although this rule won't take effect this weekend. While the teams might not need to make adjustments for Montreal, they will probably need to make modifications for Silverstone, the following stop on the calendar. The FIA will watch what is happening, gather data, and determine what the precise numerical specifics of the technical directive need to be. Some teams appear to be getting ready for the adjustments based on the way they have built up their teams. According to a tweet from Albert Fabrega, Mercedes' rear wing has undergone a major alteration for the Montreal Grand Prix. Many teams on the grid will need to make changes, but who will make the biggest changes? And what will it do to the Formula One Championship this year? It appears to be much lower downforce ring due to the reduced surface area, which should mean less bouncing for the team. Mercedes cannot have their car bounce as much as it did in Baku because the negative PR and media backlash would be monstrous. As the rules won't apply until we return to the proper racing tracks from the street circuits, let's take a look at the vehicles that are bouncing the most in Spain, the last location where the championship was held. As you can see from this graph, the Alpine House and Ferrari were the vehicles that were bouncing the most. Ferrari and Haas have to reduce their bouncing might not be a bad thing. The Ferrari engine has been extremely temperamental this season and hasn't been helped by the purpose. Having to reduce the bouncing might reduce their performance, but they might finish more races as well. Will these levels of vertical G-force be below what the FIA considers acceptable? We don't know, but expect these teams to have to make the most changes if they truly want to compete with Ferrari and Haas. Reducing their bouncing may be the only way to do so. Alpine's battle with McLaren for the best of the rest may be over if they are unable to maintain their performance with the upgrades they make. Mercedes has been the loudest in calling for rule changes, and in Baku, it was evidently their drivers who were suffering the most. This is the major issue that everyone will want to know about. Mercedes needs to drop their ride height as much as possible to make the most of their car idea this year because the team will be subject to greater scrutiny than ever before in Canada as a result of their media pronouncements. Toto Wolff has been adamant all season that their vehicle will be the fastest on the grid once they can get it low enough, but they will have to raise it for the Montreal race and possibly in the future as well, which will cost them more than other drivers on the grid. Because they have no side pods, they currently rely more on their underfloor downforce than any other squad. So, if they can't maximize their ground effect floor, their downforce will be decreased. There won't be much pity for the Mercedes because their performance will be diminished and they'll struggle to maintain that third quickest position they've dominated this season. However, the sports team Toto, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton have been very vocal in their desire for the FIA to intervene with rule changes to assist the team in stopping the bouncing. They had hoped for something like the introduction of active suspension though, or perhaps the addition of more floor stays, something that was a change to the car rules that allowed them to implement a quick fix to the problem rather than engineering it out. What do you think about this? Please let us know about your views in the comments section below. That concludes the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and let us know if you want to see more just like it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button to stay updated anytime we post a new video. Thanks for viewing and I'll see you in the next video.